Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. Yesterday we took a look at Druid and Hunter cards as we were doing our Scholomance Academy review, and today we will start with Mage. Again, we'll be reviewing Standard and Wild on a 5-star scale, 5-star being a god tier auto-include card, and 1-star being unplayable trash you probably wouldn't even pick in Arena. So let's get going. So first we have Trick Totem. It's a 2-mana 0/3 totem. Dual class, so Mage gets its first totem ever, and at the end of your turn it casts a random spell that costs 3 or less. Random. It's fun. This card just, I hate the style of design. It's just random shit show of, I don't know, you could get something as insane as the copy totem card and copy this, or you could Plague of Flames and destroy your own board. The variance in this card is all over the place. I mean, it's a 0/3, and random can be insane, I guess. Like Arcane Intellect, or a Secret, or who knows, but my goodness, I just don't like the design. It drives me nuts. And thankfully, I don't think it's good. I think it's a meme card. I don't see how you're going to really play this. So I am going to happily give this one a 1-star in both Standard and Wild. I just don't really see this card working out in Mage, and can we stop with the random, like the extreme random? It'd be great. Next, we have Cram Session, a 2-mana spell. Draw 1 card, it's improved by spell damage, so there's a new 1-drop this curves into pretty nicely. Lab Partner will get to it. But yeah, I mean, 2-mana draw 1's really bad. 2-mana draw 2's pretty good, but you really probably want to hit 3, and I don't really see that becoming a real reality unless it's like later in the game, and then that's a little too slow. I don't really see this doing much of anything. Yeah, you're going to get it randomly and stuff like that, and it'll probably kind of feel bad because you got 2-mana draw a card. You're probably not going to have a lot of spell synergy, damage synergy going with it. Again, in Standard Wild, I'm going to give it a 1 across the board. I just don't really see the spell damage stuff lining up with this card in this regard. There is a deck idea I have, just not really with this. So yeah, 1 across the board. Next, we have Firebrand, 3-mana 3/4 minion with Spell Burst, deal 4 damage randomly split among all enemy minions. Yeah, Flame Waker sure still doesn't seem very balanced, does it? I mean, it's got 1 attack on Flame Waker, but it's 1... It does 4 damage 1 time only, and it's among minions, not face. Again, I don't think the payoff is really worth it. It's got a good stat line, and you can play it with a cheap spell and get 4 damage, but again, I don't think you're really hard running this. I would be very surprised. In Wild, unplayable. You have Flame Waker. It's infinitely better. So, Wild 1, Standard 1. Again, none of these cards I'm really seeing doing much. Like, yeah. Don't see it. Next, we have Worm Weaver. It's a 5-mana 3/6 minion. Spell Burst, summon 2 1/3 mana worms. So, okay, you play this on 5, it dies, you get nothing out of it. So, you really need to activate it. The problem I have is, you activate it, you get the mana worms, and you got mana worms coming out on turn 5. That's just not that good. They die to everything. They don't scale that well. The strength of mana worm is always playing on a 1 and dictating the board and winning. Cheating out, getting 2 mana worms on a 3/6, like, yeah, theoretically, it's a 5/12, but you gotta work for it, and again, it's so vulnerable to, it just dies to everything. So again, in Standard and Wild, I'm giving this a 1. I don't see what the hell you're doing with this. It just seems really mediocre. So far, pretty mediocre Mage cards, at least that I'm seeing. Next, we have Primordial Studies. It's a 1-mana dual class card. Discover a spell damage minion. Your next one costs 1 less. So, spell damage minions on average are pretty decent. You got like the Prime minion. You have the new 1-drop we'll talk about. There's a 5-mana elemental that's new. You got Blood Mage. There's quite a good amount of spell damage minions. And of course, you proactively can cheat it out the next turn. It's not bad. It's not a bad card. I just don't think you really actively want to run this in your deck. You're going to get it off Magic Trick, Evocation, all the RNG effects that Mage has. So yeah, I don't think you're running this, but in Standard, it's not as bad as the other cards. I could see you maybe justify running it as like a 1-of Greed card in like Reno Mage, but other than that, I don't see it, so I'm going to give it a 2 in Standard, and a Wild, again, 1. You're never playing this, like, you're just never putting this in a deck. And then we have Brain Freeze, 1 mana spell. It's a dual class card with Rogue. Freeze a minion, and if you combo, you deal 3 damage to it. So you already have Ray of Frost, which is 1 mana freeze a minion, but if you combo this, you get 3, but you don't have the twin spell aspect. But Ray of Frost is a pretty good card. This is a pretty good card. 1 mana deal 3 is good. Freeze is good. Redundancy can be good. And it works well with Apprentice and like other stuff like that. I'll give it a 3 in Standard. I think it can definitely sneak in and see play, especially with the deck I have in mind. We'll talk about when we get to the Legendary. One of the Legendaries I'm pretty excited about. But yeah, I'll give it a 3 in Standard. Wild, again, you got Ray of Frost. Like, Quest Mage is really tight. Highlander Mage is really tight. All these decks. I don't think it makes the cut. Like, I don't think you have that. You, like, give Freezing Potion, which I would argue is better than this because it's 0 mana. So in Wild, I'll give it a 2. But again, it's not a bad card. It's pretty versatile, pretty strong. And we have Potion of Illusion. It's a 4 mana spell. Add 1/1 copies of your minions to your hand. They cost 1. So this is like a greed card, you would think, but it really isn't. I mean, like, you could play as a greed card, but there's not a lot of targets you want to hit in Standard, and you don't have Pocket Galaxy to kind of abuse it and all of that. So I'm going to say in Standard, you're going to play it for Exodia Mage. What you can do is you can play 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, Potion of Illusion, play the 1 mana Apprentices, Potion of Illusion. You have 4 1 mana Apprentices. And then you play a quest, whether it be the side quest or the regular quest, play License Adventure, get a coin, you play your 1 mana Apprentice, 1 mana Apprentice, 1 mana Apprentice, coin, and you can play Antonitis, or so you play, sorry, restart, you play 1 mana Apprentice, 1 mana Apprentice, Antonitis, coin, 1 mana Apprentice for 11 mana, and you get Infinite Fireballs. Exodia Mage is back in Standard. The issue is trying to stay alive to do it, being able to draw your deck to do it. Those options aren't the best for Wild, or Standard, sorry. So I don't know if it'll work, but I want to make it try and work. I'm pretty excited to give it a go. I'll give it a 3 for that reason. I think that deck could punish Control hard enough if you dodge Priest, and we'll talk about that, why Priest is a big issue in that video, but I'll give it a 3. I think that deck might be able to see play. It might be viable. Then we have Jandis Baerov. Oh, and in Wild, you're not playing this card. It's really bad. It's 1. Even Pocket Galaxy, it's bad. Yeah. Then we have Jandis Baerov, as I was mentioning. 5 mana, 2/1, Battlecry, summon 2 random 5-cost minions. Secretly pick one that dies when it takes damage. So Jandis Baerov can give you 2 Jandis Baerovs. It can give you 2 Earth Elementals. It's a myriad of 5-drops, and then you get to pick one that your opponent will know, but if it dies, it takes damage, it'll die. So, like, if there's, like, a Death Rattle minion, it can actually be beneficial for it to die. It's just a stat drop. This minion's a stat drop, and 5-drops suck. There's a lot of really bad ones. Like Jandis Baerov itself, you have that new 5 mana 1/1 for Demon Hunter and Hunter. You have, like, Chromatic Egg, you have Faceless Manipulator. I remember when I was playing Spell Damage and I was playing Apexis Blast, the variance on the 5-drops pissed me off so much that I thought about dropping Apexis Blast from the deck, and it's literally one of the main reasons to play it. So, I don't think it's a stat drop worth playing. I don't think it's good enough, and yeah, I can't see it in Standard or Wild. It's not terrible, it's not bad, but it's not going to make the cut. I'm going to give it 2 stars in both formats, Standard and Wild. We have Lab Partner, 1 mana, 1/3, spell damage +1, premium stats, upside, really good minion. Definitely going to see play in Standard. Multiple decks, whether it's a Tempo Mage deck, Highlander Mage. Why wouldn't you want to run this card? It's really good. I'm going to give it a 4 for Standard. In Wild, I don't know where this fits in. It doesn't fit into Secret Mage, not Quest Mage, probably not Highlander Mage or like Quest Mage. I don't see it. It's a good card. I just don't see a home for it. So in Wild, I'm going to give it a 2. So it's quite the variance, but I think it's a really good Standard card. In Wild, it's just, I don't know where it's going. I just don't. We have Raz Frost Whisper, not Whipper. That'd be interesting. 5 mana, 3/6 legendary. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies, improved by spell damage. Take away the spell damage aspect, it's a really good card. It's like Despicable Dreadlord. It goes face, and it has a better stat line, and it has the upside of potential, spell damage improvement. So I think this is a really good, like, Reno Mage card. Like, why wouldn't you play it? It's just solid. It leads into your Reno really well. It can weaken the board, it can clear some stuff, and then you Reno. It's really powerful. It's a very good card. I'm gonna give it a 4 for Standard. I think it's really good. And yeah, if you can just get any spell damage going with it, then it's busted. Like, even 1 spell damage, you're doing 2 damage. That's a consecration on a 5-drop. And this keeps occurring as long as the minion lives. Like, really strong card. I'll give it a 4. And in Wild, again, Highlander Mage might run it. It might be good enough. I don't think it's as strong in Wild, but again, Reno Quest Mage, Highlander Mage is all that. They might give it a go. I don't think the spell damage is almost ever going to be a factor there, but again, I don't know how important that is, so I'll give it a hesitant, optimistic 3 in Wild. And then we have Mozaki, Master Duelist, 5 mana, 3, 8 minion. Whenever you cast a spell, gain spell damage +1. This is a card I'm really excited about in Standard. I want to try it out. I want to try like a Miracle OTK type of deck with Apprentice, where you play Apprentice, Mozaki, and just go in with like Magic Trick, Cyclone, Arcane Missiles, and just do a billion damage. Is that going to be good enough? Probably not, but there's potential for it. And in Wild, there would even be potential if Quest Mage just wasn't infinitely better, where you can do like Ice Lances especially, where you can just Ice Lance, like Arcane Missiles or Freezing Potion, Ice Lance, Ice Lance. You might be able to easily OTK your opponent, but again, it's like, it's pretty late in the game, and Quest Mage just wins on like turn 5, 6, and 7, so you just wouldn't bother. But we'll see. Standard, I'm going to give it a 3. Wild, I'm going to give it a 2. But I'm really excited for this card. I love doing Mage stuff, and it doesn't feel RNG-based, just like the Potion of Illusion. So I'm a fan of that. And then we have Combustion, 3 mana spell. Deal 4 damage to a minion, and then any excess damage both neighbors. So it's like Shadow Bolt with upside. So like, say you kill a 1 health minion, and you deal 4 damage to it, well, you're going to do 3 to each neighbor. That's really powerful. It's just a really versatile, strong spell, and in Standard, there's not a lot of early great removal, and this really does a good job of that. Very good Standard card. It can see play in a lot of Mage decks. I'll give it a 4 there. In Wild, probably not going to make the cut. I still think like Volcanic Potion's probably better, and there's only so many spells you want to run in those decks, but it might. It might make the cut in like Reno Mage or Reno Quest Mage, things like that. So I'll give it a 3. I think it has a shot in Wild, but I'm skeptical on that one. And then we have Devolving Missiles, 1 mana spell, shoot 3 missiles at random enemy minions that transform into 1 lost less. It's similar to like Devolve, but more random, so less reliable. It does not scale with spell damage since it's not doing any actual damage. I think this is a created by card more than anything. I don't think you're hard running it, but I could be wrong. And that goes for Standard and Wild. I think it's a 2-star card. I think it's like kind of good, but not good enough that you really want to put it in your deck. Even against like Q blocks and stuff, you're just going to get it randomly. You know it's going to happen, so I'll give it a 2 stars in Standard and Wild. And then lastly, we have Wand Thief, a 2 mana 1/2 minion combo, discover a mage spell. 1 mana, discover a mage spell is just so ridiculous. Yeah, like Ethereal Lackey's one of the best lackeys, and you just get to put this in your deck. It's a 1/2. The only downside is you have to combo it, which is a bit harder in Mage than Rogue, but you still can make it work with all your magic tricks and cheap spells. Really good card, like really stupid, strong card. I'm going to give it a 4 in Standard. In Wild, I don't know if it makes the cut in Quest Mage. It definitely, I think it makes the cut in like Highlander Quest Mage, but I don't know about regular. I'm going to give it a 3 in Wild. I think it might be that good, because Discover is so powerful. It's not Babbling Book where you add a random spell to your hand. It's Discover, so very powerful card. I'll give it a 3 in Wild. And that's all the Mage cards, so it started off slow, but man, there's some really good Mage stuff, and I'm excited. Mage is probably the class I'm most excited to play this expansion. Just all the combo potential is really high, and that excites me as somebody who loves combo. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree, all of that? We'll have the next review video up later today, so make sure to like the video, subscribe, get the notifications going so you can be updated when that video goes live. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.